So you know that feeling when your skin is glowing and you know you look good, and it just brings out your inner confidence? There is nothing like it. Thankfully, Silver Mirror Facial Bar can help summon that feeling on command. They use the latest technologies, top-tier products, and seriously skilled estheticians to develop a custom plan just for you. Book your appointment today and get $30 off your first facial with the code CityCast30. Just go to silvermirror.com/CityCast and tell them we sent you by using code CityCast30.
DC cares about being green, but it feels like there is always something new to learn. How do I know what can and can't go in the recycling? And how do I collect compost without it stinking up my whole house? The list goes on. Thankfully, Paint Care makes responsibly recycling your leftover paint easy. Paint Care has 3 simple rules for painting smarter and reducing waste. 1. Buy the right amount of paint for the job. 2. Use up what's left. And 3. Recycle the rest. To learn more or find a paint drop-off site near you, visit paintcare.org/3simplerules. That's paintcare.org/3simplerules.
Today on CityCast DC, there's a new plan in the works to deck over a section of busy Connecticut Avenue Northwest in Dupont Circle, transforming it into a vibrant new public plaza. But some residents and local businesses say they're worried about how the project will affect them. NBC4 transportation reporter Adam Tuss breaks down what this all means for Dupont Circle and the city beyond. And in just a few weeks, we'll be hearing directly from DDOT about the details of this project. So if you have questions or concerns you'd like us to raise, give us a call at 202-642-2654. Today's Monday, May 19th. I'm Bridget Todd, and here's what DC is talking about. So Adam, thanks for being here. I know the city is trying to build this DuPont deck over project on Connecticut Avenue. First of all, what exactly is a deck over?
Great question, Bridget. So the deck over is going to be basically covering a section of roadway that goes underneath Dupont Circle. And so for people who are familiar with that section of the city, you know that Connecticut Avenue at some points kind of drops down, right? And it goes underneath the main Dupont Circle right there. So the plan is on the north side of Dupont Circle. Think of where the north entrance to the Dupont Circle metro station is and where the road drops underneath there. They're going to essentially do what it says, put a deck over top of that road that goes underneath. This is something that has been done in DC fairly recently. If you think about the 3rd Street Tunnel, that portion of roadway in Northwest DC was basically, an underground tunnel with nothing above it. And what they've done over the last couple of years is they've built on top of it. You have to build these large pillars and you put steel beams in place, and then you essentially reconnect the street grid above the tunnel. Well, that's what's going to happen in Dupont Circle. It is not going to be an easy project, but the city and a lot of officials believe that by putting this deck over Dupont Circle, they can reconnect some streets in that area and create some public plazas and kind of make the area more useful than it is right now.
Sorry if this is a stupid question. This deck over is for pedestrians or vehicles or a combination of both?
It is not a stupid question. It's a great question. Right now, the plan is mainly to put the deck. If you think about the deck, it's going to be for pedestrians mainly. It's cyclists will be able to get through there a little bit. I do believe there is a narrow side road for traffic to go down, but it is certainly not going to be any sort of fast-moving situation. Think about kind of some of the surrounding streets in Dupont Circle, like 19th Street or T Street, U Street, those kind of places where it's kind of more slow-moving traffic through that area.
I cannot imagine this is going to be a quick project or a cheap one. How long will this take and how much will it cost?
So the estimates that I've seen recently, and I do believe that there's still some work going on with this. I've been talking with DDOT because they were, for all intents and purposes, supposed to have this project started already. The timeline right now is that they're expecting to break ground sometime in July, so this summer. But the recent information that I've seen is that this will take somewhere in the effort of 3 years, and it's going to cost $30 million, which in the scheme of transportation, transit, building projects really isn't a lot. So I kind of wonder once they start digging, it's kind of like when you when you do a home renovation or you do a project around your house. You think it's going to be one thing, and then once you start opening up walls, other things can happen, and prices can often increase. So I wonder if there's some sort of contingency that is being built in here. But yeah, for right now, 3 years, $30 million. We'll see if that stays.
I want to know more about what that area currently looks like. Like, what is it that they're trying to fix that the area right now lacks?
I'm not sure that they're trying to necessarily fix anything because Dupont Circle, as it stands today, works. People know what the traffic patterns are. They know where their favorite bookshop is. They know where their bars and restaurants are. They know which apartments they like. So I wouldn't say that there's necessarily anything to fix. What they're trying to do is improve the area. And they believe that by creating more of a public space here, which where it stands right now, that doesn't exist. So they're going to actually add something to this area, and they believe that will beautify the area. It will be a plaza where people can hang out. You can do farmers markets there. There's obviously people know that there's a very popular farmers market in Dupont Circle where people go on the weekends. You can spread out more, and eventually you'll have a lot of pedestrian traffic that's able to kind of get very close to the businesses that are along Connecticut Avenue right there. So I wouldn't say that there's anything wrong with what's going on right now, but what the whole intent here is to give something better to the area, to improve it, to beautify it, to make it easier for people to walk and bike around, that kind of thing.
Is it more of like an attraction, like a nice, pretty, beautifying, life-improving thing for the area? Or is it addressing like infrastructure concerns?
No, I think the first part is what they're getting at. A nice attraction, something to bring people down to Dupont Circle, something to see, a place to hang out. One of the great things about Dupont Circle, if you go around, you'll see people playing chess on the tables down there. You'll see the fountain when it is working and people hanging around on the grass down there. And it's a nice place to kind of hang out in the middle of the hustle and bustle of Washington, D.C. So this would be an extra attraction to really kind of bring that whole area together. Dupont Circle isn't hurting by any stretch of the imagination, but this will be, a painful project for a lot of people in that area because they're not necessarily used to huge construction projects. And this will mean, big equipment. It'll mean a lot of dust. It'll mean a lot of debris. And for businesses in that area that kind of just weathered the pandemic and went through that, there's going to have to be an extra focus on them because any sort of, thing that detracts for a couple of years for people getting easy access to businesses down there, that is something to keep in mind.
After the Fact, a podcast by Pew, keeps it real with data-driven insights on today's big issues. No spin, just facts, mixed with stories from experts, policymakers, and people making a difference. Whether you're into the research or the personal stories behind it, we've got you covered. So what are you waiting for? Listen to After the Fact wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're a CityCast superfan, you have definitely heard us singing the praises of our longtime supporter, Paulson & Nace. Big news! Paulson & Nace is now Nace Law Group. Same great team, just with a new name. When you are hurt by the negligence of others, you want a lawyer that will actually fight for you, not one that will settle for the bare minimum. Nace's compassionate lawyers fight to bring cases to juries so you can get everything you deserve. If you've been hurt or lost a loved one because of someone else's mistake or negligence, call Nace Law Group for a no-obligation consultation. Visit www.washingtondcinjurylawyers.com or call 202-463-1999. If you've never visited the Folger Shakespeare Theater, now is the time. It's showing the Shakespearean classic Twelfth Night, but with a groundbreaking modern twist that brings pure joy. This is not the Shakespeare that you fell asleep reading in 10th grade. It is a contemporary, sexy production of Shakespeare's great comedy. Sure, there's loss, love, and identity, but there's also a sense of discovery, lavish costumes, and great modern music. The director used the term elegant kink while describing it to me, so you already know you're in for a ride. Think She's the Man meets RuPaul's Drag Race. Performances start on May 13th and run through June 22nd. And tickets are going fast. Don't wait. Go to folger.edu/12th night to purchase tickets. That's folger.edu/1, 2th Well, you've spoken to locals who are not thrilled about this project. What are some of their concerns?
Traffic. I would say the major concern is traffic. Yeah, I spoke with a guy who lives on 19th Street right next to Dupont Circle. And he believes that the traffic, when the construction is happening, is just going to get pushed onto the side streets. So in other words, if they have to shut down, Connecticut Avenue, which is a major road in Washington and a major commuter route for a lot of people, if they have to shut that down, which they will at some point for this, then the traffic is going to have to find its way around the circle another way. And, some of the places they'll do that is the side streets, the neighborhood streets. And people who live in homes and businesses around there, they are definitely worried that they're not going to be able to get out of driveways or get out of their parking spots that are there. They're also worried that there could be big, heavy equipment that comes down these side streets that's overweight capacities. And once you start getting into those kind of things, you start dealing with roads that get deteriorated. So I would say the main concern for residents is that the traffic is going to come, the impacts from that, and potentially some, construction impacts will come from that as well. So that's what they're concerned about. But, city officials, ANC commissioners in that area will tell you no pain, no gain. And so to get to the beauty part of this deck over, you're going to have to go through a little bit of hard work.
One of the arguments I read about why people are against this is that it seems like a big waste of time and money to develop Dupont Circle, an area that you yourself said is not really hurting, when downtown and so many other parts of the city are more in need of this kind of investment. Do you feel like the neighborhood actually does need a deck over?
I don't live there. I drive through there a lot. I take Metro there a lot. I hang out in Dupont Circle sometimes. I would say if somebody wants to beautify an area, if somebody wants to make it better or potentially make it better, then that's the conversation for the people who live in that area. I can certainly see the benefit of it. I can see where it makes sense to do this because you're giving a new space. Think about so many places around DC that have kind of gone through this, the Navy Yard area, how that has changed, City Center, what has happened down there, around Gallery Place, all the changes that have happened there. You have the infamous Dave Thomas Circle on New York and Florida Avenues in Northeast DC that they're now remaking to make into more of a pedestrian plaza and public space. So the city, this isn't unusual for Washington to do things like this where, an area might not necessarily need it, but they go ahead and put an improvement in, and then you can start to see the benefits from it. I will say, usually when the city and officials do something like this, it ends up working out in the long run. So it's not really for me to say whether or not it's necessary, but I can see where the benefit would come in.
Are the main folks who are against this plan just the folks who live in that area and, as you said, don't necessarily want a bunch of heavy construction trucks there?
So, those are the ones that I've heard from the most. I don't believe that everybody necessarily knows about this project, but certainly for commuters, once they start digging, they will start to notice very quickly. And I'm sure I will start getting emails and texts about it, like what is going on along Connecticut Avenue for sure. So for commuters who are, coming from maybe Maryland and use Connecticut Avenue to get down, or maybe Chevy Chase or, parts of the district, Tenleytown, and coming to try to get down toward the White House or, any of the federal buildings or offices downtown. Once that construction starts, they will acutely feel the impact of it, and that there will be traffic impacts because you can't dig up any road in Washington and it doesn't lead to some sort of secondary traffic impact. So that definitely will happen. But for right now, the main concerns, the residents in that neighborhood, they are very aware of the plan of what's going to go on, and they have been some of the most vocal critics of what's going to happen. They basically just say that they want to see in writing what exactly is going to happen because people don't want to be caught off guard. And we should say that, there's a lot of support for it as well. This goes back to years to former DC Councilman Jack Evans, who actually secured some money for this project and is a big supporter of the project. So I think, once these things get going, you'll start to hear from some of the original players. But this particular project has been in the works for years. I did a story years ago about it, talking the fact that it's going to come. And it does seem like this summer at some point, DDOT will break ground.
So it does sound like this is definitely moving forward.
Oh, I would say so. 100%. Yeah, they're having meetings about it. They've got the budget in place. They've got the plan in place in terms of, what's going to happen. I was, talking with my DDOT sources and officials this week about what's going to go on, and they are moving full steam ahead with this project. Now, that being said, this is Washington. There can always be a wrench that's thrown in at the last minute, and you never know. But it does appear that this project will get underway this summer.
What is next for this project? Any dates we should be on the lookout for?
I think July is where you probably, you keep an eye on that, because that's what they're eyeing right now. Once the project gets rolling, we'll see, how far along they get in a certain amount of time. But July to break ground, and then the next 3 years of construction. And then hopefully at the end of that, people are able to kind of weather that storm in that area, and you get a nice new space to hang out, do farmers markets, that kind of stuff, and enjoy the space.
Well, Adam, thanks for being here. Maybe I'll see you on the deck over in 3 years.
Let's go to the deck over. Let's go.
And a quick reminder that we're talking to DDOT directly about this project in just a few weeks. So leave us a voicemail with your questions, comments, and concerns at 202-642-2654. That's all for today here on CityCast DC. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a Dupont Circle friend. We'll be back tomorrow morning with even more news from around the city. Talk to you then.